Hey, Eric.
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's going well tonight. How are
Oh, good.
you?
My week was good. The weekend got to see my daughter in her play. She did a fabulous job.
That was fantastic. I saw it on Saturday night.
Unfortunately, uh, she and half the cast are sick. Somehow got sick, so it's going to be an interesting second week for him.
Oh, no.
Yeah, one of them has pink eye. Two of the singers can't sing, and so they've got one of the guys is taking over and singing one of the parts that was one of the girls. So he's singing a falsetto
Oh,
soprano. it's it's in a humorous part of the show, and it actually probably works just as well as the other part. So they're improvising. My daughter is she actually stayed home from school today and slept all day, and we're hoping it'll work out for her this
just
weekend.
hoping she can sing by Friday.
And then my other project that I have going on with my son, we actually finally put it all together, at least with alligator clips, and added power to it so it goes. I don't know if I mentioned it on the
I don't
podcast
think you
before.
have. I don't think you have. You've told me about it at lunch, but
Yeah, so he's really into fire equipment and fire alarms and those kinds of gadgets. And so we have bought several different, the little things that are up high on the wall that have the flashers, and that's where the horn, the alarm goes off,
commercial
it goes
type
from
things,
those.
though, not
Yeah, the
necessarily
commercial
what's in
things.
your house. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so we've acquired a number of them through various means, and we built a fake wall that is about 2 feet by 2 feet with 8 boxes on it. And we have been
hmm
adding these different alarms to it, and we're going to go put switches on it. But this weekend, he finally has painted it. We textured it, and he textured it and painted it past weekend, and we screwed some of the things in and plugged them into because they run on 24 volts, 12 or 24 volts. And so we got it all
hmm
plugged in with all the parts that we've gone to Surplus Gizmos to get different bits and pieces. Surplus Gizmos is a store, I guess you'd call it, out here that just has
I've never been.
surplus electronic stuff.
Oh, I
It's
thought that was
like
my closet.
no, it is. It looks like your closet. It's just a yard sale in a building of electronic stuff. It's awesome. Anyways, we actually got it all wired together and got to have the flashing lights.
You haven't set the alarm off inside your house?
No, and I'm making him get there are some that are of lower volume, so we're not getting the ones that do 90 decibels. I said it can't be more than 60.
Oh man, that's still loud.
Yeah, because every 10 decibels is twice as loud as the previous number. So I think most of them are 55 to 65 is what he's got so far, which is still plenty loud, but
That seems
not.
quite loud. That seems like a cool,
Yeah,
science experiment or,
yeah, he's having fun doing it. How about you?
that's cool. I watched. I mean, we did a lot of stuff this past weekend, but one of the things was I watched a YouTube video and I was inspired to go to build a swarm trap to try and catch bees because I'm still getting excited about spring here. So my son and I built a swarm trap off of plans from a YouTube video. I just need to
Cool.
paint it this weekend and then hang it up because swarm season is just around the corner.
And so the goal is to be enticing to bees as they fly by, going, well, this looks like as good a spot as any, and
Yeah,
hanging out.
yeah, yeah. Bees in the spring, the way they multiply hives is by the old queen basically gathering up a whole bunch of foragers and laying some eggs that will become new queens, but then the old queen takes off with half or a third or two-thirds of the hive, and they go find a new place to live. And then the bees that are left behind, mostly the young bees, hatch out a new queen, and then the new queen stays with where the hive was, and the old queen flies away and they find a new place to go. There's lots of commercial beekeepers around too. I've seen at least, well, my wife saw a swarm last year, and then there's a tree down on the north side of our property that has had a swarm in there for 2 of the last 3 years. But they die out in the winter because it's just not protected enough or it's not big enough. I don't know why, but clearly bees are finding that and thinking that's a good place. So that's where this is going to go. It's going to be basically right in front of the hole in the tree and say, no, this is a better place to go. I won't take it and take you and put you somewhere else. Oh, wait. Yes, I will. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll see.
All right. Well, we got a lot of follow-up.
Oh my gosh, we do. Okay. You first or me first?
Well, go ahead.
Well, mine was there's actually a bunch of Facebook news this week. and
there's always Facebook news.
There's always Facebook news, but so there's 2 things. The first of which is that Facebook encouraged 2-factor authentication.
Well, and we encourage 2-factor authentication.
Of course, you should use 2-factor. But I mean, an SMS is better. It's not good. It's hijackable, but it's still, better than nothing.
Right.
But the thing that Facebook is doing now is, or that people are realizing that Facebook is doing, is even if you only provided your phone number to assist in 2-factor authentication, Facebook lets people look you up by it, which is problematic in a number of ways. I mean, the first of which is that they really shouldn't be using data provided for security purposes to increase their engagement, I guess. But then the other thing is when they slurp up phone numbers, you can automatically be matched, right? Just based on having ever, been in a had your contacts in somebody else's phone.
Right.
It's just awful. So more awfulness. Facebook is still bad. Although then today, so this is the funny thing also. And this remains fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on you. Fool me 15 times. I don't know. At some point in time, we'll see. But Zuckerberg released a 3,000-word essay that we're not going to link to because then we'd have to link directly to Facebook. But if you go to the link that we'll put in here, The Verge, there is a link to it. But it was about how he wants to turn Facebook into a privacy-focused company. So, and there's
for him.
There's a whole bunch of data in there, a lot of which, and I did skim the whole thing. At least there's a lot of stuff in there that I'm like, that would be really cool if you did. Okay, let's see. There's. I'm willing to give you the 16th try. Not that I have any choice or that, I'm going to prevent Zuckerberg from doing whatever the heck he wants. But, we'll see.
I got 3, well, 2.5. I'll call it bullets of follow-up. Because we talked before about the Canadian cryptocurrency exchange where the owner had passed away and had the wallets, the cold wallets and the keys on a laptop. So in Canada, when a company goes bankrupt or files, they go into what they call a court-approved creditor protection and have people come in, try to figure out what's going on and try to protect the public, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently they're finding that all these cold wallets that apparently had or were supposed to have had all the balances that no one could get access to, they haven't had cryptocurrency in them for quite a while. So the saga continues.
Ooh.
With regard to that one.
Let's grab some more popcorn.
And then the next one I mentioned last week, I think it was my Something Fun, the NSA and their open source
You were
So
just
this week,
ahead of the curve.
yeah, this week is RSA, the RSA Security Conference in San Francisco, and the NSA released GHIDRA. Is that how you would say it?
That's how I would say it.
GHIDRA, GHIDRA. And what this is an open source reverse engineering framework. So it helps you analyze malicious code, malware, and give people a better understanding of how something is functioning, some piece of software is functioning, and finding vulnerabilities in it. So it's an open source thing.
I've seen a whole bunch of chatter about it.
Yeah.
From the RSA show floor. I also saw, if you look at the logo, there's a bunch of binary in it. It just says "Hello World."
Okay.
Do you see it?
Oh, I got it now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have not downloaded it and looked at it yet, but it's on my to-do list to kind of poke around and see what it actually does and if it's easy enough for me. And then here's my 0.5 follow-up, just because I thought it was funny. So the NSA releases a massive open source reverse engineering framework, and then, not to be outdone, Microsoft also released something open source this week. Wait for it. The Windows calculator.
I had not seen this. That's fantastic.
They are open sourcing the calculator. Anyways, this one just broke today, and actually, I guess it was yesterday. So if you are a user of the Chrome browser, and today's Wednesday, Today is Wednesday the 6th.
6th? So 6th, yes.
This broke on the 5th. Basically, you are encouraged to update your Google Chrome. Now, Google Chrome updates itself regularly, but there's apparently a defect, and you can go look up what it is, but everything is very cagey now. Cagey is the wrong word. Everything is redacted or not available quite yet, so that it's probably a pretty serious bug in Chrome. But when the Google Chrome security is tweeting out just a PSA, go update Chrome to this version now, ASAP. Don't wait for Chrome to auto-update itself. So probably maybe next week we'll know what the bug actually was. If you haven't updated your Chrome, go check out what version you should be on and make sure you are running the latest and greatest Chrome. I did that earlier today.
That is a good piece of advice.
It's one of the great things about software that auto updates.
Well, it's not very often, though, that everybody gets a shout out to, we need you to update again right now.
All right, my second topic, which I guess the first one really wasn't a topic so much as just a heads up.
PSA.
A PSA. At the RSA conference, our company, the company we work for, McAfee, has released a report that has got a lot of news play in the last few days about North Korea and hacking done by North Korea. I think for the most part, people avoid trying to place blame.
Attribution.
That's the buzzword that goes around. But McAfee was able to very concretely identify North Korea, and how they ended up doing that was, according to the New York Times article, we'll link here. I don't actually have any additional inside information on this one, so I have the same news anybody else has. With the help of an unnamed foreign law enforcement agency, the McAfee researchers gained access to one of the main computer servers used by the North Korean hackers to stage the attacks. So what the McAfee researchers got access to was one of the command and control servers used by the hackers. And they
in the sharpshooter campaign, I believe.
Yes, and they could watch what was going on just by observing what was going on this server. There's been a lot of news that is coming to light from this.
I think a lot of this kind of is getting play at the moment because of the failure in the talks earlier this week.
Right.
And it is rare that there's such seemingly concrete evidence. The threat researchers are, often it's hard to know. It's hard to pin down. And even when you see data, that seems relatively incontrovertible, it can be false flags. So,
right.
Strong attribution is something that, our security teams really stay away from in general, and for good reason. There's often times where, we have data, and, there's data that we, will blog about, and say, well, these are the observations that we've seen, but generally steer clear of making, hard attribution. It's a tough line to walk, because people want a solid, clear, clean answer, and sometimes it just, there is no way to get it, and sometimes you just can only present, well, this is the data we see, and we have a imperfect picture. Everybody has an imperfect picture.
We'll link to the New York Times article that details it a bit. There's also a CNN short video kind of clip that I thought kind of summed it up pretty well as well. So we link to both of those in the show notes. But those are kind of my two, my PSA and my topic to bring to light that people read up on.
All right. Well, I also have two topics, I think. Yes. So my first one is actually just kind of a I guess fun thing.
Oh.
This isn't really a PSA. No, this isn't a public service announcement. This is a Cloudflare article about how Cloudflare reacted to stopping a released Drupal vulnerability. So the link we'll put in the show notes here describes a little bit about this, but essentially, let's see, this happened a couple of weeks ago. The post was actually from yesterday, but the Drupal announcement was on the 20th of February that they had a severe vulnerability and they'd be releasing a patch for it the next day. So Drupal is a content management system. It is, it's basically a website management or blog engine. It is based on PHP, which is a programming language that developers love to hate because it's not really a programming language. And sorry. And anyway, so when Drupal announced that they had this vulnerability, Cloudflare is another company. So Cloudflare does CDN, Content Delivery Network, and they also have denial of service protection and web, I think associated with DDoS protection is a web application firewall. And essentially, so they have noticed that, Drupal's announced a vulnerability. They know that a lot of their customers use Drupal. Presumably they see the traffic, so they know how many. And so they know that it's possible for, even once Drupal releases a fix, users of it won't have upgraded all within a period of time, right? And so having a WAF, a web application firewall, is something in front of your actual website that can prevent some bad things from happening by basically acting like a firewall.
Right, stop people from trying to use the exploit, the hole, the bug that's there. This just is something in front of that to stop people from getting to that hole. The hole's still there. We're just stopping it before you get there.
Think of this as like, basically a reverse proxy in front of the site that, will strip traffic or block traffic that matches certain patterns. And so Cloudflare did. So they came up with a rule in their web application firewall that would detect if somebody was trying to abuse this vulnerability. And then, so all that's kind of set up for this. The thing that I thought was most interesting about this article was actually looking at some of the examples they have of the attacks that were attempted against the vulnerability. So, because that's not often that you see some of this stuff. And by the way, they did see attacks against Drupal sites less than 48 hours, they said, from the announcement. So it didn't actually say in here, I don't remember whether Drupal truly did release the patch 24 hours later, fine, but the attacks came pretty quickly after that. And so the interesting thing about this was that the attacks, the thing that I thought was interesting about this is that the attacks were kind of increasingly sophisticated, but with less and less code on the examples that they had here. So the first attack, they said, attempted to leverage a PHP gadget to invoke Linux command line. So some sort of a plugin, and I'm not in the PHP world in any way, shape, or form. But if you look at the example in here, it's quite long. They're trying to basically, looks like they're, essentially trying to put together a system call of some sort, but all in kind of PHP code and semi-encoded. But then if you the second example they had here looks like they actually tried to, the vulnerability, I should say, would let you upload a file to the Drupal website, or the website that's hosted by your Drupal instance. And so the second example they had here would actually attempt to go load a form or a HTML file off of Pastebin that basically had a web form in it that would then let you access it later. Because if an attacker is able to modify the contents of your website, then even after you update the serving code, it's possible that there's a file that's now being served that the attacker placed, and that now they're controlling the code that's running on your website, right? So
right, you plug the hole, but before you plug the hole, they inserted another backdoor.
Yep, they already got in. Yeah. And then the third was the most clever. This was the one that actually made me go, "Oh, that's kind of cool. I should actually do this," because this was a tiny HTML file. Essentially, it's basically, one line, but not even. It's maybe 20 characters, but it's basically a HTML file that it consists of nothing other than a PHP command to evaluate an argument that's passed in. So then they write that onto a PHP file in the website, and then from thereafter, anybody could just basically hit that PHP page, pass in an argument, and it would execute it. So it's basically like, putting a dropper on that would allow execution of anything on the server.
Nice.
Which I thought was clever and something to look at. So anyway, that's the thing that I thought was interesting about this particular thing. My second topic was another example of a open MongoDB server. So as it's not the first, it won't be the last. It's not the first. It's not the first million, probably. It's not going to be the last. When you have easy to use persistence layers that have zero security out of the box, it's amazing what happens. But this is for a service that must be big in Saudi Arabia based on the prefixes of the numbers that were exposed. But it has, and actually they said that it's still up at the moment because they can't actually contact, or the company's not responding that has this app.
Oh,
this is basically a caller ID app of some sort. Big in Saudi Arabia, has 5 million users, and I actually pulled this out later. Yeah, that if they have some screenshots with some blurred stuff out in the article, we'll link here. But this includes the cell phone numbers because it's a mobile app. And it's a app about caller ID. Has the registration data, so that's name, email, gender, that kind of stuff. It has device details, including the IMEI, serial number, MAC address, SIM number, etc. Telecom data, and then for at least some users, it actually has GPS coordinates, and then individual call details and numbers searches. So who called? But so notice GPS. So the GPS coordinates, it says where available would allow a threat actor to track a user's location in real time. Because all you would have to do is place a call to the user's phone, watch the database, the app will log the entry, and you'll see the user's GPS data.
Right.
So it's not as bad as if you can silently track their GPS data, but still pretty doggone bad because you can't stop somebody from trying to call you even if you don't answer it.
Right.
So at one point in time, I was, or there's a comment in here that I thought was just crazy sauce, but it says that at one point a threat actor accessed the database. So the fact that it's exposed can't be new. Encrypted some of the data, left a ransom note, but the IT team didn't notice the breach and continues to save user data on top of the previously compromised database. So whoever's actually running this is not
paying attention.
Although the other quote that I pulled out here was that the researcher told ZDNet that roughly 208,000 new unique phone numbers and 44 million app events have been registered in the last month alone, and the data is still coming. Anyway, this I saw this, I was like, oh man. Yeah. So,
well, consumers just don't know, right? You see an app, it's got a 4.5 stars or whatever, 4.5 stars on the App Store or the Play Store, or wherever you're getting your app from, and you might have friends that all think it's great. That still doesn't mean it's a quality app,
right?
Or that they're paying attention to your security.
Not in any way, shape, or form.
So,
anyway,
right.
that was my second one.
Nice. Move on to fun.
All right, yeah, let's do something fun. Hit me up. What you got?
I was just reading your note above your phone in the notes here. I'm not sure this should be fun.
Oh,
what?
Oh, do you want me to go first?
What?
Okay, so mine. I actually put this in here in our something fun list a while back, but I threw a couple other things in here this week, but I thought this shouldn't age too far. So this is an injection that creates infrared vision in mice.
What?
So this is one of my scientific something funs. So this
oh my
is
goodness.
Yeah. So you have to check this out. So this is let's see. So they talk about, there are some animals that have infrared vision, but certainly not humans and certainly not mice. So what they did was there's these nanoparticles that they inject in the retinas of the mice, and then what the nanoparticles do is convert the infrared light into visible light. So it's not that they're actually changing the rods and cones of the eye. My perception of this is you're looking through a film of particles where the particles convert light, incoming infrared light into something that you're seeing in a different color. So green or something like that. So, because it does say in here that the, let's see, what does it say? The mice aren't seeing in infrared. They're seeing infrared information that's been changed into a more perceptible form. So
got it.
It's kind of maybe like a single pass filter or something like that, where, or a polarizing filter, right? Where
so if I put glasses on to do this, I could see infrared.
Yes, potentially in theory. So anyway, but they tested. Well, actually, there's some other stuff in here, but so they tested the mice by putting them basically in an arena, and where if the mice could see the infrared, they could see a presence of a platform on which the mice could rest. And anyway, the normal peers didn't, and so how do you know a mouse can see an infrared?
That would be my question, because you're not going to ask them.
Yeah. That's not the rats of Nim. What was it? Nicodemus. All right, sorry.
Going old school.
I made my kids read those books. They're fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You must read these books because I liked them when I was a kid. Sorry. Anyway, I thought this was a cool topic that not that I want to get my eyes injected with anything, but right. I thought this was cool. So there you go. My something fun. Mice that can see in infrared, and hopefully they're not going to be what was that? Oh, the Predator.
Oh,
sorry. Also old school.
A Schwarzenegger movie. All right. So for my something fun, it has nothing to do with science.
Okay, that's okay.
Just gonna have to. I'm gonna just make a bunch of connections here to finally get to my something fun. So I mentioned at the beginning, my daughter is in the high school play. It's called Once Upon a Mattress, and I suppose this thing could be horribly fun because there was a movie, The Wonderful World of Disney, in 2005. There was that show, The Wonderful World of Disney, called Once Upon a Mattress, that had some pretty high-profile actors in it. Carol Burnett and Tracy Ullman and Zooey Deschanel. My daughter plays the part that Zooey Deschanel plays in this Once Upon a Mattress movie. But the king in Once Upon a Mattress, the movie, which it's a horrible movie.
Okay.
So
don't watch the movie.
Don't watch the movie. But for whatever reason, it got 2 Primetime Emmys and was... Anyways, we got the movie when my daughter was...
You must have watched the movie.
We did. We watched the movie when my daughter got the part in the play to see if it was good, and it was so bad. It was like, is there like a Q movie?
Cringeworthy?
Y movie? I mean, it was way past the B movie part. But the point, to get to my something fun eventually, the king in this Once Upon a Mattress is Tom Smothers. And this reminded me that I remember as a kid, my dad loved the Smothers Brothers. You've heard of the Smothers Brothers?
Of course.
Of course. And we had several records. I actually have records, the physical vinyl records. I think those are the only things I've kept from my parents of some of their original recordings, because I don't even have a record player anymore. But the Smothers Brothers. And I loved that humor. And I think that, I don't think, their style of humor shaped my style of humor.
Oh, that's a statement.
Yes. And so I remember reading, there is a book called Dangerously Funny, because in the 60s, when they were they had when they started in the late 50s, and they were on the edge.
Enormous.
They got kicked out. They were very controversial at the time, and they got fired from CBS because they were pushing freedom of speech and not, being able to say bad words on TV, not that kind, but being able to pick at politicians and all those things. And you see a lot of what came out over the 70s and 80s and 90s of what other shows have been able to do. You can kind of trace it all back to the Smothers Brothers and some of the other humorists around that time. So it just reminded me, my roundabout, the Once Upon a Mattress play, Tom Smothers.
I had no idea where you were taking me.
And to this dangerously funny book, and we'll link to an NPR article on the uncensored story of the Smothers Brothers. And you should go out to Apple Music, listen to some of their stuff. It's folk music, guitar, and bass. It was fabulous. I love that. Anybody should go check out some of the Smothers Brothers stuff. And I have fond memories of listening to that over and over as a kid, the records. Anyways, that's my something fun.
All right.
Check out the Smothers
fantastic.
Brothers.
That is fantastic. Going way back. Going old school. You said I was going old school. You're going old school.
That's right. I got there eventually.
So. All right. That sounds great.
All right.
That's cool. All right. Shall we call it a show?
Wrap it up.
Sounds good. So.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great night, Eric.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later.
See you, John.